It's 2026 and you can buy an EV that used to cost 150,000 for 90,000 ringgit today. But let's be real, is it really a bargain or are you buying a dying battery and a warranty nightmare? So with the tax holiday for EV coming to an end and RON subsidies, especially for RON 95, really sitting on thin ice, a used EV might be the ultimate financial hack for a Malaysian right now. But what should we do to avoid those two nightmares that I just mentioned? Stay till the end of the video to see whether you should make the switch to the second-hand EV today. Hang on, for those of you who are used to my channel, John always talks about investing or entrepreneurship. Why is he suddenly talking about EV today? Hang on, don't worry, it will be related to these two items as true to the nature of this channel. For those of you new to the channel, my name is John, former engineer, now turned full-time investor, wealth planning director at Philip and author of an upcoming book called The Malaysian Multi-Baggers. And today we're just going to talk about EV and how the savings of it will probably save you a pretty penny and what can you do about those savings for your own financial independence. Now let's imagine the few pro points about the EV second-hand market today. So the EV depreciates much faster than an ICE or internal combustion engine car. And if you look at the first 3 years, if you buy a very popular model, which is the BYD Auto 3, used to cost anyway at launching price 150,000. Now it's roughly about 120 over thousand. I think with all the bonuses or cashback rebates thrown in, probably 120 plus. Right now, you can buy it maybe a 3-year car for less than 90,000 even. Go check out second-hand websites and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Now, the benefits of getting into this space at this moment of time is that these first owners, they already enjoy the tax rebate. That's why for a car of this specification, they could get it at that kind of price. And then now with the tax rebate being taken out, all these prices will see an increase because the rebates are no longer effective. So you're actually double dipping on the savings, First, the double dip on the owners that already had the tax rebate, they bought it cheaper, and you're also enjoying the depreciation that was taken on by them. You don't, your depreciation will be much less because you're buying at a lower value. So the second bonus point that I think you can benefit from owning a second-hand EV is really inflation-proofing your commute. Now, what do I mean by that? RON 95 subsidies has existed and we as Malaysians have really enjoyed the benefit of it. But obviously the government will very likely, it's not a matter of what, but a matter of when, reduce that subsidies given to us. And petrol prices will remain volatile, especially if there is a hike in crude or crude price, crude oil price. But electricity tariffs, not to say that they don't enjoy inflation increases, but it's a little bit more stable. Home charging costs, especially if you're on a slow charger, AC charger, it's roughly about 57 cents per kilowatt hour, which is roughly 70% cheaper than petrol city driving. Obviously, for people like me who lives in a condominium, we don't get to enjoy that kind of low rates. We have to use a DC charger installed by a commercially run business. But by and large, especially if you're not commuting too far and you don't have to have this burden of distance anxiety, I think for city driving, it really suits that of an EV car. There's also very minimal maintenance. If you think about if you own an ICE car, you've got engine oil, spark plugs, transmission fluid change. But as an EV, the only real recurring cost is really tires, wipers, cabin filters, consumables things. Obviously, there's worry about electronics failing. But if you think about how reliable your phone has changed, the reliability of your phone 15 years ago and against today, automotive electronics are tested to even higher benchmarks against consumer electronics because it represents safety. The safety is more paramount in that of an automotive vehicle comparatively to consumer electronics. So there you go. Second benefit of owning a second-hand EV. So now let's look at the risk factors. So there's this thing called the silent battery risk. So low mileage of a car, let's just say on average, a car, I think mileage should be at least 1,000 to 2,000 a year. For those frequent drivers, it may be even coming up to 10,000 kilometers per annum. But it doesn't also mean that because it has a low mileage that the battery is good. A car sitting at 100% charge in a hot sun degrades faster than one that is daily driven and there's a charge cycle to the battery. So never buy a second-hand EV without the state of health report, especially on the battery. If the dealer can't show it, the second-hand agent can't show it, then walk away, because that's one of the biggest risks and the biggest cost of the car. The second risk also is really this iPhone effect, because EV technology really moves fast. 2022 EV car might max out at 60 kilowatt DC charging, while 2026 models can do 150, which really in layman terms represents faster charging to slower charging. So if you're buying an older car and the capacity it can take to charge is low, then the time that you use to charge the car to full will take longer. But especially if you are, like for me, I hardly go out. I only, even for my ICE car, I only pump 2 times a month. And my car can go for roughly about 500 kilometers per full tank. So there's roughly about 1,000 kilometers of commute a month for me. So I'm in a way a perfect example of a EV suitable buyer, because the mileage I consume and the lifestyle that I design my business to be around, I think that's something that's suitable. But if you are someone who commutes more frequently, go do the pros and cons rather than just hearing an opinion. I think put it down on math, a piece of paper or an Excel, and from there you can really assess, does it really make sense in terms of the miles driven, time used to charge. And if you're staying in the suburbs where it's a 30-40 minute commute and you're living in a landed property, it makes even more sense because you have access to AC charging in your garage. So the third risk is really the warranty minefield that you have to think about, because most EVs come with an 8-year or 160,000 kilometer mileage warranty, and is usually transferable, but, and this is the big but, it requires a pristine or near perfect service record. So if you miss one interval or an unauthorized temper to the accessories, either to the wired dashcam, you can easily void the whatever thousands you have in the battery warranty. So you really need to check the booklet. I think now most records are digitized, so it's actually easier to check the paper trail and check the warranty record, just to ensure you still can lay claims to the warranty. So the fourth risk is really the road tax reality. Prior to this, there was a big exemption in terms of road tax. Now that has ended in 2025, and road tax now is based on the kilowatt output of the motor. So a standard BYD, low kilowatt, you may not get the thrill of the acceleration, but it's a functional daily driver. That will enjoy very similar road tax, or even much cheaper than that of maybe a Myvi. But if you get a high performance Volvo, a Tesla Model 3, or the higher performance cars like a Porsche Taycan, then that could really cost you a pretty penny, especially in terms of road tax. So do check this. I'm going to put up a table here for you to roughly see, thanks to Paul Tan's website. But get the latest data sets from JPJ or any government website. We'll be able to give you a good guide to how much you should pay in terms of road tax. So what's the verdict? Let me give you a checklist for the buyer's profile. Buy if you have a landed house, condo with ample charging facilities, and you want a modern tech driven daily driver for value for money. But if you are going to drive KL Kelantan or KL Penang every week and you worry about the charging infrastructure, distance anxiety, then it may not be for you. And you see this car as an investment and you want high resale value because new solid state batteries will arrive, higher charging capacity, longer charge time, longer distance, then I don't think it's for you. But if I were to offer my opinion, cars today, you think of them like phones. In the past, if you buy a phone, it's almost like, especially it may even cost 1 or 2 months of someone's average salary. But today, it's so indispensable and cost keeps coming down that a smartphone is known as a utility that, after 3 to 5 years, you just discard them. So I think that is the new age of cars as well. You cannot look at it from a resale value perspective, but what is the value for the time duration that you're going to use it for? So yeah, there you go, the buyer's checklist. So now, how is it related to investing? Because you managed to save probably that 50,000 from buying a second-hand EV comparatively to a brand new one, what do you get in exchange? If you buy a brand new car, plastic wrapper, zero odometer, nice car smell, but you realize it just costs you 50,000 extra. But then if you buy a 2-year-old or 3-year-old unit, it drives the same, looks the same, maybe some scratches and dings here and there. You could easily just do it up properly for another less than 1,000 if it doesn't need a repaint, but maybe a repaint, another 2,000, 3,000 ringgit. And you could dump that into a boring S&P 500 ETF, not a Malaysian KLCI ETF, sad to say, or a global index fund, or you sock it away for something that can give you 5-6% in terms of return, maybe even EPF, 5% return. So let's use a projection of 10% historical return. That's the 55,000 or 50,000 doesn't sit there in 7 years, roughly the time that you're going to drive, the duration of driving this second-hand car. That money would have doubled to 100,000. Rule of 72 divided by 10%, that's about 7.2 years, so your 50K has doubled to 100K. So see, that is where I was trying to lead towards. We always look for value, we always try to excrete where the resources are limited or scarce resources that we have, and we try to optimize it for something else. Because one path, if you buy a brand new car, it's guaranteed to lose value, right? The other path, if you know what you're doing, you've done your checklist, you looked at the warranty and ensure that you are still entitled to a warranty and a safeguard of the battery life is still effective, it really pays for your next car. Because now you're 50,000 safe, you double it, you can buy the next car in cash, right? So I want to know whether are you team new car or team compound interest, because I'm clearly in this camp. But I like to hear your feedback. I like to hear your comments, and I read every single one of them. So if this video has saved your wallet, hit that subscribe button. I'll see you in the next one, and for more compound.